Okay, let's get right into this one. It's a truly chilling first-hand story from a boys' hostel in Bhopal, back around 2010. And this isn't just some campfire tale, it's a look at a real event that walks this terrifying line between a tragic mental breakdown and a horrifying encounter with something else entirely.
Now, we're going to unpack how we get to this point, but this single, terrifying image, it's really where the whole story begins and ends. It's the key that seems to explain everything, but at the same time, it explains absolutely nothing. So, our story kicks off on a pretty normal Saturday night. The event? A birthday party for a mechanical engineering student named Sumit.
It's about 10:30 p.m., and you can just imagine the vibe. The music is blasting. The entire hostel is basically one big party for their friend. It's loud, it's a little chaotic, pretty much a perfect college party. And it's a classic scene, right? You've got guys in little groups everywhere. Some are chatting, others are arm wrestling. A few are even, believe it or not, playing chess right in the middle of all the noise. Our narrator, he's just chilling on a couch, scrolling through Facebook, just taking it all in. And then, just like that, everything changes. The music, the laughter, that whole carefree feeling, it's all about to get shattered into a million pieces. Even with all the music and the noise from dozens of students, a scream just cuts through everything. It was so loud, so full of pure terror, it literally stopped everyone right where they stood. And immediately after the scream, a heavy, sick-sounding thud from outside. You know, it's one of those sounds that you just know means something awful has happened. The party was over. So in all that chaos, a few of the guys who were clear-headed just snapped into action. They race out onto the balcony, look down, and there's Sumit, the birthday boy, unconscious on the ground. They don't waste a second. They get him on their bikes and just fly to the hospital, trying to get him help. But their nightmare was just getting started. The very first hospital they get to turns them away. Can you imagine? They were probably worried about it being a police case. So after nearly an hour and a half of just frantic searching, they finally get him admitted somewhere else, but only after a friend makes a call to someone they knew. So much time had been lost. Okay, so it takes 6 agonizing hours for Sumit to finally wake up. He has severe fractures in both of his legs, but he's alive. And almost as soon as he can speak, he asks the doctors and nurses to leave. He tells them he has to talk to his friends and only his friends. And what he told them was more terrifying than anything they could have possibly imagined. He tells them he'd gone up to the roof to get some quiet so he could take a call from his girlfriend. And that's when he saw her. This woman in a red dress standing right at the edge of the roof. He was curious, so he tells his girlfriend to hang on a second and he walks over. When she turned to face him, he was just stunned. He said she was the most beautiful woman he'd ever laid eyes on. But then things got weird. She just starts crying, hysterically, saying that all men are deceivers. Sumit, trying to be a good host on his birthday, he tries to comfort her, puts a hand on her shoulder, and he was shocked. Her skin was ice cold. He's pleading with her, just trying to get her to come downstairs and warm up, telling her she's safe. She just loses it. She violently throws his hand off her, her voice just full of rage, and before he could even process what was happening, she did it. She just jumped. A silent, sudden leap right into the darkness. But listen, this is the most horrifying part of his story. Sumit swore she didn't just fall or tumble, she landed perfectly on her feet. And when she looked back up at him, that face that had been so beautiful just moments before was now completely scorched, burnt, and terrifying. Sumit told his friends that in that moment, he lost all control of his own body. He said her eyes, set in that awful burnt face, had some kind of hypnotic power over him. He didn't trip, he didn't slip, he was compelled. He ran, and he jumped. He followed her right off that roof. His friends were just so relieved he survived the fall, but they figured out pretty quickly that the physical injuries were the least of his problems. The real damage, that had been done to his mind. Over the next few days, the updates they got were just horrifying. Sumit was spiraling into madness. He kept repeating that the bride was coming to kill him. It got so bad he had to be chained to his bed to stop him from hurting himself, and he started pulling out his own hair in clumps. Seeing their friend like this, it was more than they could take. I mean, they were just kids themselves, and they were terrified. They started to worry, what if they were somehow blamed for all this? Or even worse, what if that thing decided to come after them next? Overwhelmed with fear, they just slowly faded away.
And this is where the story just stops. There is no neat resolution, no big explanation. The narrator and his friends, they finished college, they moved on with their lives, and they never found out what happened to Sumit.
And so we're left with this really unsettling question that just hangs over this entire story. Was it a hallucination, a tragic and sudden mental break, or was Sumit actually allured to his doom by some kind of supernatural being? It's a question that, to this day, has no answer. And maybe that's what makes stories like this stick with us. They're a stark reminder of how fragile our minds are and how little we really know about the world around us.